Hi, this box just came in and it was sent in to me from UNI-T. They did contact me earlier saying they were going to send me a UTG4082A signal generator, and this must be it. Let's take a quick look. Yep, you can see here the label says UTG4082A. Anyway, in this video, let's do a quick unboxing and take a look at some of the basic operations. Once I've got a chance to read through the manual, I will do a more comprehensive review video before I send this unit back. Yes, unfortunately I have to send it back because this was sent to me on loan. On this channel, I had reviewed quite a few test instruments from UNI-T now. I will leave the links to those videos in the video description below if you haven't watched already. Alright, let's cut the ribbon here. Now the boxes these UNI-T instruments came in are all similar. Let's try to cut it open. Not entirely sure if there's another box inside. Let's see here. Yep. As I expected, it's probably a box within a box. Let me dump this box out. Alright, let's open this one now. Oh, look at that. That's our instrument here. Let's take it out. Oops, it's the other side. So that's the arbitrary waveform generator, and we'll have a bunch of accessories. So let's actually lower the camera and we'll take a look at what's included here. Alright, the main unit is in the background, which we'll take a look in just a little bit. Let's take a look at what else is in the box. Here we've got a certificate of calibration, and it tells you all the instruments used to calibrate this arbitrary waveform generator. And you get this download guide. Basically nowadays the instruments don't come with CDs anymore, and you get this download document telling you where to download your software. Then you get your power cord, which is standard, and you get a BNC to BNC cable. You get another BNC to BNC cable. Okay, you get two because we have two channels. And a USB cable. That's actually all the accessories there is. Now let's take a look at the main unit. Of course, that's something everybody is waiting for. So let me see if I can adjust the camera a little bit. And that's the main unit. Let's try to unwrap this. Let me see if I can actually tilt this a little bit so we can see the screen and everything else on the front panel a little bit better. Actually, it doesn't have a adjustable stand here. Alright, never mind. Okay, so I have to adjust the camera a little bit, so be right back. Alright, I think this angle is a lot better now. The UNI-T UTG4082A is a dual-channel 80 MHz arbitrary waveform generator. I think UNI-T designated it in its performance series. This is a lab-grade arbitrary waveform generator and has a vertical resolution of 16 bits. In the UTG4080A series lineup, you've got the 4082A, which has a maximum frequency output of 80 MHz, and that's the version we have here on the workbench. Moving up, there is the 4122A, which has a maximum frequency of 120 MHz, then the 4162A, which supports up to 160 MHz, and finally the 4202A, which tops at 200 MHz. Keep in mind that the frequencies I mentioned here are for sinusoidals. For arbitrary waveforms, the maximum frequency is a quarter of that. The 4082A is listed just under $900, and if you wanted the model with the highest frequency range, it will set you back around $1,700. The UTG4080A series is a little bit on the pricey side, but keep in mind this is a professional grade instrument and has a lot of capabilities built in. Besides the maximum supported output frequency, other specifications seem to be identical across these different models. They all have 2 channels. Of course, we have 4 BNCs here because 2 are the output channels, 2 are the sync channels, 1 for each channel. The sampling rate is at 500 megasamples per second across the board, and they all have a memory depth up to 32 megapoints. For the supported modulation types, besides the typical ones found on most of the budget arbitrary waveform generators, you've also got the sum modulation and quadrature amplitude modulation capabilities. And the sum modulation is actually a very powerful tool. It can modulate any arbitrary waveform on top of another arbitrary waveform at a certain given modulation depth. Now, that's my understanding, and of course, we'll have to take a look when we do the detailed review of this unit. You can see that we have this gorgeous 8-inch LCD, and then we have the front panel buttons. Now, we do have a few extra buttons compared to some of the instruments we have reviewed before, but that's pretty typical for an arbitrary waveform generator. And as I pointed out before, we have 2 channels. These are the 2 output channels. Now, I'm wondering if these 2 are actually isolated. I don't know. Let's take a look. So these 2 grounds are connected. Yep. So I'm wondering if these 2 grounds are connected. Yep, they are. Okay. So all the grounds are tied together. Now, on some more expensive arbitrary waveform generators, these 2 channels are actually fully independent, meaning that their grounds are not connected. But in this case, these are, which is actually typical, as that's the majority of the arbitrary waveform generators we have reviewed on this channel. Now, I do know that there are some designs out there, especially among the very expensive arbitrary waveform generators, the grounds between different channels are actually fully isolated. In the middle here, we have a digital port. That is a port, according to the manual, for outputting the parameters of your arbitrary waveform in either SPI, UART, or I2C format. Now, I'm not entirely sure under what circumstance you would use that functionality, but that's the capability this arbitrary waveform generator provides. And here we have a USB input and the power button. So that's pretty much all there is on the front panel here. So let's actually turn it around and take a look at the back. And you can see we have quite a few of these output BNCs here, actually input and output. The first 2 ports are the 10 MHz reference in and 10 MHz reference out. These are useful if you want to use an external frequency reference, and you can daisy chain them together. And that's how the clock references are set up in my lab. All the major instruments have their 10 MHz in and out daisy chained together, so I can feed in the clock signal from my rubidium frequency standard. And by the look of it, we have a dedicated frequency counter input, and we have a FSK frequency shift keying external trigger, and a modulation input. So this arbitrary waveform generator does support external modulation input. Very good. And of course, then you have your USB port to connect to your computer, and then the LAN port. All right, I have plugged in the power cord, and let's power it down. I haven't powered it down before, so let's take a look together. Wow, that's actually quite a noisy fan. And we have seen on other UNI-T instruments that the fan, unfortunately, is always on, and it's not the quietest. But we'll have to see. I suppose that the FPGA inside needs to be cooled at all times. And the power up does take quite some time, as you can see here. And that's probably to be expected because we have a relatively complex system here. So let's wait till it powers up. The relay is clicking, and we should be ready pretty soon. Okay, it took about 40-45 seconds. I didn't count, but that's the rough time it took to boot up. Once it's powered on, you can see that the user interface is very familiar, and that's essentially pretty much the same as what we have seen on the 932E and also the 1042X that I reviewed before. So let's explore a little bit. Of course, I haven't read the manual yet, and I should probably have done that, but this is an unboxing video, so we're just going to keep it short and take a quick peek. So let's see here, help. Okay, so that's help button, utility, and you can see that we can set different channels. And storage, what is that? Okay, that's your, by the look of it, we can store the waveform to the files here. And let's do the reset. I suppose reset is to reset the unit here. So right now we're displaying sinusoidal. Obviously, you can use this, I would assume, yeah, the same way. You can kind of use that to adjust the output frequency. Of course, you can change which digit you are adjusting here. So that's all the standard behavior that we have seen on the 932 and also 1042. So that's pretty standard, and then you can have different output of the arbitrary waveforms or waveforms and functions. So this is our arbitrary waveform, and you can see that we have quite a bit of function just right at your fingertip here. So let's take a look at the modulation here. And you can see we have source, internal, and external. So that's what I mentioned before. That's very good. You can actually use external modulation with this unit. And as I mentioned earlier, we have quite a bit of modulation capabilities on this arbitrary waveform generator. So let's take a quick peek here. So you can see we have AM and FM, PM, all the goodies here. And of course, here we have the quadrature amplitude modulation. And you can see you can change the different modulations, and very nice. Well, of course, we'll have to take a look at that in the next review video. Alright, this is just a quick unboxing video. I'm going to read through the manual and get myself familiarized with this arbitrary waveform generator, and we'll do a more in-depth review in the upcoming video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please remember to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. I know I say this every single time, but it's true. Your participation makes videos like this possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.